Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to Blitzburg Squad. I'm Wesley Seeley, joined alongside Shane Smith. Thanks for joining us as we dive into the Week 7 recap between the Steelers and the Titans. Well, Steelers win. We're 6-0. I cannot remember a time in my life that the Steelers have actually been 6-0.
I think the last time was like 1978,
Right.
so you and I were not even thought of.
Right. We've always been so used to 500 kind of start, and then we kind of turn it on the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's a really nice feeling, though, man. 6-0.
It is great. I now understand how Patriots fans felt so many of those
We just got to
years.
take this in for a little bit. Like, just relish on this moment of being undefeated and the only undefeated team
Only
in the
one.
league.
Yeah, because the Seahawks, I wouldn't necessarily say dropped one, but they had a tough matchup.
They did. It was a good game.
It was a good game.
But,
DK Metcalf is a speedy.
He is. That was a
speedy
crazy
boy.
play. But, yeah, man, we're 6-0. And for everybody that's said, you know, we haven't played anybody, well, I mean, I'd say Titans are a pretty darn good team.
Titans are possibly, just because I feel like they come and play their A game every single week against every opponent, I would say that if we're going not by record but by like
Strength or?
strength and things along those lines, I would say because we beat the Titans, we take number one. Titans,
Oh, for power rankings?
yeah, like maybe not one in the NFL because people
Okay.
are still going to give the Chiefs
Right.
or things like that.
Probably will.
But at least in the AFC, I would say we're number one. Titans are number two. Chiefs are three, in my opinion. And then the Ravens. Who cares about them?
I mean,
Just because the Chiefs are a great team. And, yeah, they got Le'Veon Bell. But there's just games that you watch them and you're like, man, what is going on? Because their defense is really suspect. And then if their offense can't turn it into something, then, you know, they can't catch up with how bad their defense is. And us and the Titans, although the Titans' defense is a little worse than ours, and I think that's why we won,
right.
we're very similar teams, I
Yeah.
think. And because of that, you know, we're the two most complete teams, at least on the AFC side.
Yep, I agree. Good offense. Ours is a good defense. Theirs is just an okay defense. I mean,
Yeah,
decent defense.
They make good plays,
and
but
good coaching, too.
they do bad against the run, and that's what eats up clock.
Right,
And
yeah.
we do the opposite.
Right, yeah. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it was a good matchup, man.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the Seahawks and Cardinals end up being a good matchup, too. But I could have seen this one getting flexed into the Sunday night position.
Yeah,
So,
I wish CBS would have given it up. And,
Right,
and
I mean-
let us, but you know CBS was like, no.
Yeah, of course not, yeah. So, I mean, they both end up being good games, so you can't complain with either one. But ours would have been a solid Sunday night, too, because that was a
Oh, absolutely. It would have been great. We may have
Nail-biter.
actually, like, flown away with it and not given up our huge lead,
maybe
though,
with the
because
prime time.
we always do so good in prime time.
Yeah.
We just always seem to bring it every time it's a primetime game. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic game all around. And
Yeah, it
it
was.
was close. I think I had a heart attack or two, but
I can't blame you, man. I was so nervous. I think I was like biting my fingernails when it was like crunch time when the Titans got the ball
oh, for sure.
on that 2.5 minutes. It was like, oh my goodness.
I was ready to die when the broadcast cut out and we were driving down the field. I was like, what are
It's
you
like
doing?
CBS, come on.
I literally looked at Alexis and I was like, I can't watch the game right now. And she's like, what? And then they took it back to the thing. I was like, the game's not on. I was like, I'm literally going out to my car to throw the radio on because I don't have
Oh,
one in
wow.
my house to listen to it. I sat down and the video broadcast came on. And I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
I jumped on my ESPN app to try to follow like the play-by-play because I was like, oh no way I'm missing this. But so I guess let's just start talking about what we thought about our offense. So initially, the first half looked great. First drive especially took up 8 or 9 minutes, whatever it was, of offense.
I think 9:18 or 9:17 or something
Yeah.
like that. Like a huge
a ton
portion.
of time. And we scored 7 at the end of it, which was huge.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we don't do that very often. We either stall with 3 points or stall at some point midfield almost and have to punt the ball.
Yeah.
So it's like it's nice to finally get a long sustained drive and end it with 7 points. Because and even too, I think, was it the initial drive that we got a flag down in the end and it pushed us back? Yeah, it was on
because we
Jukes.
had 100 total yards that drive.
Yeah.
Because there was a Chooks had was it a hold? Or
Is it
the face
or the
mask?
face, yeah.
And it may have been both on that drive because our first drive was 100 total yards.
Mhm.
And I think I don't know if Ben had thrown for like 74 yards of that or something along those lines. But yeah, it was just great to come out the gate. That was our first touchdown on our opening drive since 2018.
Wow.
I think it was like 23 straight games or 21 straight games
do
without.
we actually have to count 2019 though? 2019 is just a blur at this point with Mason and Duck.
Yeah, I wish they would have counted our defensive turnovers for points as our first possession because
that's almost not fair.
Yeah.
But no, that is cool. It's a good feeling when you can rely on your offense to go down and score 7, and especially against the Titans, like we talked about. You got to start fast. You got to start early because get the pressure put on them and make them feel like not maybe have to abandon the run, but almost rely more on the pass to get back into the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that worked quite a bit. And it was one of those where once you start out fast and you looked as good as you did last week, the Titans had to have been thinking in the back of their head, like, okay, like, is this going to be how this whole game's going to play?
Yeah.
Like, we got to start fast, and if Derek's not, rushing for 8 yards a game, we're going to have to go to the pass more often than we don't.
Totally.
And so I think that kind of played a role for sure.
Oh, yeah.
In their at least initial gameplay. Second half was a completely different story.
I agree. Yeah, I think it put extra pressure on them, kind of made them, I don't know, just force some more things, and they didn't look good that first drive.
No.
They gave it right back. Was it 3 and out?
I believe it was 3 and out,
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
All in all, was our defense on the field in the first quarter like 2 or 3 minutes total?
Oh, yeah. I believe
it was so little time.
I want to say like by halftime, Titans only had like under 50 yards. I mean, and that might be
could be being generous.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking it was under like 20, but I could be wrong.
Well, I know in the first quarter, I think they'd given up. I think we'd allowed 1 total yard. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, definitely had to have been under 50. Could have been under 20, which would have been sweet. And, I mean, even with everything they produced, they still didn't have a whole lot of yards in the end. So, it's something where it wouldn't surprise me with how it went down. A lot of it had to do with how we were running on offense and just methodically tearing apart that defense. We were hitting Johnson. We were hitting Juju. We were hitting Ebron. James Conner was running with some sort of force on him.
Yep.
I don't even know if it was the first half or the second half, but Ben was going down with a sack and literally just flicked it over, and Ebron made the catch. Like, it was just everything was going right for us, other than a few like miscues. And I don't want to jinx him, but he didn't have to punt in the first half. But Jordan Berry actually looked okay as a punter. Like, he averaged 50 yards on 2 punts.
Yeah, you're right.
He boomed that one, which I think really made up the difference. I'd almost text you before the game with Jordan and said, if we lose, it's going to be because of Jordan. Because he's known for shanking him for 20 yards.
Yeah.
And that just was something that we couldn't afford.
I know. Well, Colquitt came in, and he really wasn't
he wasn't good. He was averaging like 40-some yards a game.
Yeah, but he was kind of like the Barry of last year, Barry of the past couple of years. And
yeah. I was still kind of hoping that the rookie was going to go in. As soon as I seen that it was Barry, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, but he did okay, surprisingly.
So hopefully he doesn't shank it next week.
Right, yeah. No kidding.
But yeah, and I mean, our offense, only punting it twice, that should tell you how well our offense did. Minus 3 turnovers. But
yeah. But, that's what I was going to say. It was what Ben threw it 49 times. And the second half especially, they got away from the run. Yeah,
they did.
Which was our downfall in the second half, I think. I mean, they got away from the run that was working, too. Like, it's not like you just abandon it because, hey, James Conner isn't looking good. We're really not opening up any holes. Like, it looked good almost every single time we ran it.
Yeah, it did.
So stick with it, and you had the lead, so it didn't make sense. But, yeah, he threw it 49 times. The 3 picks, I know we talked about it, but the 3 picks that he threw, the first one was the bomb right before halftime, which was
little off, double coverage, but it was kind of like, okay, because I want to say maybe it was to Chase.
It might have been.
And I think Ben at that point was just like, okay, if it gets somewhere competitive, jump ball, maybe he can come down with it and just put us up by.
And you're right, though.
27.
It wasn't a great ball placement. Like, it really, I mean, I don't even think he gave our wide receiver a shot. So it was just kind of like a heave it up there. If it gets picked, it gets picked. Whatever. It's right before the half. They're not going to do much with it. But so that one was kind of whatever. You put on Ben. The second one got tipped right at the line, pop fly, basically balls in the air for about 38 minutes. The guy came, I mean, he was just right under there to catch
just
that.
Right there to get it.
Not much he can do about that. I mean, and it was happening all game, too. Like, we saw it happen multiple games, or multiple times during that game.
Yeah, we did. It was only a matter of time. There was a couple of lucky ones, like the one that went off the helmet and was like, just right before. I was like, oh, man.
Right, yeah. And then the last one was in the fourth quarter, right? 2.5 minutes left, basically.
Yeah, we were driving. The feed had finally came back on.
And he tried to zip one in the end zone to Juju, which was covered pretty well.
Yeah,
and,
triple coverage.
Yeah, and the linebacker that was on him, it's like Jerron Brown or Jair Brown, something like that.
Yeah, I believe. And I think he had just – was that after he had gotten injured and had to – be helped off, or was that before?
No, that was after.
Okay. Because, I mean, he was in some pain, and I thought that was the same guy afterwards. And I'm like, man, he's toughing it out, and he made a heck of a play. And
he did.
Apparently, he's their best linebacker for coverage.
Well, he had like 3 or 4 pass defense in that game.
Wow.
That's crazy for a linebacker.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he had great coverage.
Than our DBs had.
No, you're right, sadly. But I saw Ben in his post-game press conference. He'd said that if the ball would have been 6 inches higher, he thinks Juju could have got it. He's like, I'm going to trust my guy there. You know, it was on me. You know, it was a bad ball placement, but heck of good coverage and by that linebacker. But like I told you, I was kind of on the fence with this. Like, I like the aggressiveness of trying to go for the throat, like get the touchdown. You're probably in a great position to run away with that game because it would have been a 10-point lead at that point, right? Right. And but at the same point, it's like you could have probably just passed it off to check down real quick, and then because I think we were in field goal range at that point, right?
We definitely were.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 12 yards out from the end zone.
Yeah, it wasn't that far,
or 20 yards out, or something like that. I would have been okay with more of like a check down, or just running the ball. Like Boswell's been perfect this year, and I know the Titans were kind of putting us on the ropes, so we were kind of hoping to score, put it up by 2, and kind of put it out of reach. But I would have been way more comfortable up by 6 than up by 3 going to overtime.
I know.
If Gostick makes that field goal. Just because, or yeah, I guess Gostkowski, not Gostick.
Yeah. John Bostic.
Yeah. Because honestly, even if they would have scored, it's not a give me with Gostkowski making that extra point either. So it was like, okay, we had a chance if we would have went up by that, and I think Ebron was kind of wide open. So
I know, you're right. And that replay, I saw that too. But that's where I'm kind of on the fence. Is like, yeah, sure, it ended in the outcome we didn't want to see with the pick. But it's like if it was the outcome where Juju came up with that, it's like then we look at Ben like that's why we love our quarterback, because he is aggressive and he goes for it. Like we're on the other end of it now. We're saying like, well, crap, he probably should just played it safe. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like, which version do you want? You can't have both, but that's why I kind of like the aggressiveness. Because
I think going from behind, if he would have tried to make that, I would have been less critical of it, just because we would have needed something.
Yeah, I get
Being up and just trying to kill clock and not give them a chance to
go
have
for the
that
kill shot.
Yeah, it's more like, man, we should have just did something completely different on that.
Right, and you're right, because Tennessee, I mean, leading up to this game, we talked about stopping Derrick Henry, but not only stopping Derrick Henry, like Derrick Henry's been on a tear, but so has Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Tannehill's looked great, so not only do you have to stop the run, but you got to stop the pass too. So giving them the ball with 2.5 minutes left to go down and only score a field goal to tie it, like, and possibly score a touchdown to win, like, that's asking a lot. So yeah, it was a little, almost more than risky on that throw. So I get your point there. I mean,
right. And wasn't that the same one where that was when Claypool caught his pass and they called the invisible offensive pass interference?
I can't remember if it was that drive or if it was earlier in the game that happened.
Okay.
I don't remember, but I do remember what you're talking about. On like the trips set.
Yeah. Because for some reason, maybe there was a hold on that one. For some reason, I feel like it ended up being a 3rd and 12, maybe.
Oh, Ebron got the false start. Wasn't that the drive?
Could have been.
Because I remember we got pushed back. I'm getting all mixed up during the game now. But I do remember we were down in the red zone, and Ebron got a false start and pushed us back.
That could have been. It may have been that one, and then they changed. Because I honestly, being up 5 yards closer, I had a feeling like they would probably more likely run it.
Yeah.
But I still, personally, I think they still should have ran it.
Right,
but
yeah. I agree with you.
Whatever. We win.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But speaking of running it, James Conner looked great.
Yeah.
Again, for the second week in a row, he looked spectacular. He's just like, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like in the past couple of years, he's had a little bit razzle-dazzle, but mostly just downfield runner. But this year, and especially these past 2 games, it looks like he's just got more, like, pep in his step. He's got, like, spin move, stiff arm, like, juke move. Like,
yeah, because somebody heading
world?
into this week was saying about James Conner, and they were like, well, he's not a guy that can, like, make a man miss at all. And I was, like, sitting there, and I'm like, did they not watch the Browns game where literally they were crashing and he was just juking or stepping back?
I remember that one play in particular, Sandejo came flying down through the hole, and he just juked him out, right out of his jockstrap.
And I was like, okay, maybe he hasn't done it consistently, but you can't base that off of last week at all.
No.
And then he comes in this game and does the same exact stuff, and it's like, man, what is going on with this guy? Like, what is he doing?
You might not see him, like, a lot from him, and you might not see it as much as, like, other backs in the league.
Oh, for sure.
But he's still got it.
Oh, yeah.
He can still do it.
Yeah, I've been surprised because after week 1, I thought Conner was just kind of reverting back to last year and just kind of being like, oh, man, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of these games where, or one of these seasons in general where he's going to be hurt or he's just not going to produce. And boy, oh boy, has he made me and I'm sure plenty of other people absolutely eat our words.
Right, and do you think the main problem, like, do you think this is what we would have seen from Conner if he'd, like, stayed healthy? Like, knock on wood, hopefully he does stay healthy this season. But do you think, like, prior seasons he would have looked just as good if he would have stayed healthy?
Very possible. I mean, like, up to Le'Veon Bell, I mean, it didn't matter what running back we had in there for a while. I mean, they were all doing pretty good, even though they were all different. And even early on when James Conner came in, he looked solid. And then it was just all of a sudden he got injured. He'd be back. He'd be injured a week or
couple
two later.
Games, yeah.
And so at that point, that's when he got, well, at least by me, the nickname of Glass.
Yeah.
Because he just kept feeling like he was falling apart anytime he took some sort of big hit. And boy, oh boy, this year's completely different.
No kidding. He's looked great, man. I hope he just keeps on it, man. Keeps working hard because I like the guy. I love his story.
Oh yeah, great
We definitely
story.
love him, but it's like stinks when you have a guy that is just constantly missing games because of injuries. So that definitely stinks. Deontay Johnson had a huge game. Juju had a pretty nice game. No touchdowns for him, but he had a pretty decent game.
Yeah, both of them had 9 catches. So
did they? Okay.
Yeah, 9 catches and totaled 165 yards combined.
That's awesome. See, they had a good game. I don't know if James Washington, did he have any targets or catches?
He had 1 target, 0 catches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I remember seeing him on the sideline for majority of the game.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Claypool had 1 for -2. They say Claypool was only targeted 1 time because of course they're not going to count the offensive pass interference.
Oh, right. So that one where he bobbled, like that jet sweep, that was what they're counting.
Well, what did they count?
That has to be it. Because that was a forward pass.
Hmm.
Because remember, oh wait, no.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what it would be because they counted it as a clean catch and then a fumble.
Oh, they did?
Yep.
Okay.
They did because they were going back and forth.
Right, if it was incomplete or not.
Yep. And then Mr. Conner had 3 catches for 29 yards, which actually put him over 100 total yards for the game.
And he would have had a reception for a touchdown. You remember that one he dropped wide open? I think we ended up scoring on the next play with Snell.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was wide open. I was like, man, come on.
That literally just squeezed. I think that drilled him right in the bottom of the helmet. I was like, oh, come on. Because that reminded me of what game this season was it? That was a tough catch, but it was catchable by him that he stretched it out and missed it. Was it
been the Giants? I don't remember.
I know you'd text me and you were like, oh, I hate Conner right now.
I think it was the Giants, but
I don't remember if it was. Well, he didn't play much in the Giants. Maybe it was the Broncos when he was coming back from not being injured.
Oh, maybe.
And I know you were so mad about it, and I was like, oh man, he just did that again.
He's always had kind of problems with drops. Yes. I will say, so one more thing about Conner, though, too, that I'm just now remembering. He had a great game. He looked good running it, but he did fumble.
He
That
did
gave me a
fumble.
scare because that was early in the game. That was either our first drive?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. We ended up recovering it, thankfully. But
I want to say it was our first drive, because then the second drive is when Claypool fumbled.
Right.
And I was like, oh, my gosh,
We're
not
gonna have
again.
case of the Butterfingers this game. Yeah, no. So overall, I said he had a good game, but that was a little bit of a scare. And
oh, yeah.
he's like, I love the guy, but he's always had like ball security issues. You know what I mean? Or in dropping passes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's doing good, just keep him rolling. But it was nice, though, when he did fumble, they just came right back to him the next play.
Yep.
It was like, just give him the confidence right back.
And we're very known for that, too. Like, if Ben has a receiver that messes up or something majorly, he'll target him the next play or, like, a couple plays down just to be like, no, we're not going to let this get into your head. Just move on to the next play.
Yeah, because that Eagles game with Ebron, when he fumbled it, I feel like Ben came back the next drive and just targeted Ebron again. He was like, no, dude, I'm going to get your confidence right back up again, get you back in this game. So, no, that is cool. But back to the wideouts. So, it was cool to have Deontay back.
Yes, it was.
He is a difference maker. I mean, I love our group of wide receivers, even without him. But with him in the mix, he's just so much shiftier than Juju and Claypool and Washington. Like, he's got that extra, like, razzle-dazzle, really. Like,
yeah,
he can make so many guys miss.
Oh, absolutely. He absolutely makes guys miss. And it's nice to see him because I'm still not convinced that we have a number one receiver.
Right.
As people have said, it's just we have a whole bunch of number twos.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that because, like, they all have fun with each other. Like, Juju was completely fine having 2 catches for 6 yards the week before, and then he comes out, has 9 for 85 this game. And he's having fun either which way. It's not like back when Antonio Brown or San Antonio Holmes or anything like that was in the game where they were like, basically, give the ball to me, and that's all you're giving it to because I want to pat my stats. These guys are like, no, like if we're scoring, if we're winning games, we're having tons of fun.
Yeah.
And I just love to see it.
Well, that's what I was going to say, too. Like, looking back to Super Bowl 40 and 43, and even 45, like, can you remember when we had a number one wide receiver? I mean, think about 2005. Like, you had Hines Ward, Antoine. Did we have Plexico at that point? We might not have.
Who did Antoine? Did Antoine Randall throw it to Hines Ward in that one? Okay. We may not have had Plexico, or maybe he wasn't as big.
No, I think we had Cedric Wilson.
Maybe.
Oh, man, he's an old one. But, and then you got, like, Santonio and Mike Wallace. Like, can you maybe consider them one? Maybe. But, like...
Yeah, but they both complemented each other really, really well.
And that's what I think we do better at than when we don't have a number one, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it adds more, too, because then it's like, okay, we're not focusing... Like, yeah, we'll stop this guy, but this guy's going to do it. Or, okay, we're going to stop them both, but now the box isn't loaded. Now we have a running back who can do it.
For sure.
Or we have a tight end. Like, I mean... Ebron's way more vertical than Heath.
Yeah.
But Heath was kind of that guy that it was like, okay, we're not going to remember this guy because he doesn't make huge plays, and then 3 or 5 yards down the field, he just turns, curls, catches the ball, and gets us another first down to rely on the others. And
nothing flashy.
No, it's just great to see.
Yep. I like it.
Vance McDonald's starting to turn into that guy, and I really like to see it because he's doing way more blocking and stuff that you normally didn't see from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it works so well with having Ebron because McDonald may not get targeted at all, but boy, oh boy, is he keeping people off Ben's back.
Yep, he is. He's done a really nice job in the pass blocking game and run blocking game.
Oh, absolutely. He's played as fullback a couple of times when Derek's been out.
Yeah.
And I think he's done very, very well. And it adds another element because if you really want to get flashy, you can run a play action and Vance sneaks out of the fullback position on a streak up the field or something like that.
Yep.
And now you have this giant guy who's playing as a fullback just streaking down the field who you know can catch the ball.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. It's cool to have kind of the versatility of both of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, were you pretty pleased with the offense, I guess, with just how we performed for the whole game, not just first half?
If I had to grade it, I would say like a
what's your grade?
B-.
Okay.
So very pleased with the first half. Second half, I would have just liked to see a little bit different play calls, maybe some more time killed off the clock instead of so many throws. And I mean, the turnovers were just unfortunate kind of bumps in the road. So I'd say a B-.
B-.
Overall pleased.
That's what I was going to say was like a B, maybe B+, but I think I'm going to stick middle of the road with B because if we wouldn't have had 3 turnovers on offense, which, like we've talked about, some might have been his fault, some maybe not.
Right.
Like, we still had 3 turnovers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have 3 turnovers in the game and you don't get 3 turnovers in a game,
yeah,
you lose the turnover margin, the turnover battle. Like, that's going to kill. Like, we should be thankful we won that game.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't get a turnover at all.
Right.
And so it was one of those where you're definitely like, oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and you're right. Like, if we could have stuck with the run in the second half and looked anything like we did in the first, game would have been over. Like, the game was way more lopsided than it shows because we really controlled the game for a majority of the game. Like,
up until the fourth.
Right, yeah.
For sure. And I can't remember the stat. I seen it after the game. I want to say that was the 4th win under Mike Tomlin when we've lost the turnover battle by 3 or more.
Wow.
Like, that just shows how good your coach is.
Right.
Because there's not many coaches in the NFL that can switch upon that and get you a win.
That's another thing, too, is a bunch of people always, I mean, last season, season before, it feels like every season.
Fire Tomlin.
Fire Tomlin. Fire Tomlin. And you see it every single time.
And now, all of a sudden, you're
still going to see it.
Yeah, you still see it. Or, like, people aren't giving him the credit. Or you see the haters that hated on him now are like, oh, this guy's coach of the year. I've always loved him. And it's like, no, you didn't.
No bandwagon right now.
There's times when I've been frustrated with Tomlin.
Oh, yeah. I think all of us can say that.
But at the same time, he has never had a losing season.
Did you see what they pulled up during the game? He was with what? Like Don Shula as having 13 consecutive seasons?
Yeah. As long as he gets us one this year, which seems like he will.
He'll tie for the most?
Yeah, that's tied for 14 seasons without a losing season
consecutively.
That is nuts.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't care. I just silence everybody that says fire Tomlin because I'm so sick of hearing it. Like, yeah, he might make some questionable challenges and questionable calls, and clock management, time management is a little off sometimes. But for the majority of the part, I'm going to take him. Like, we should be thankful to have a coach like him.
Oh, absolutely. We should be thankful for the last, including Tomlin, the last 3 coaches we've had because.
Oh yeah.
Look at the Browns or the Texans or the Jets or all these teams that have to carousel coaches, and then these players that look great can't keep up because they're trying to learn a new system every other year.
You're right.
We are very consistent, and I mean, honestly, if we're on the bandwagon for anything, you and I think it's fire Fiechner or Butler. But even them right now, like, being 6-0, it's overshadowing the frustration that you had with them early on in the season. And as long as we keep going.
And I think Matt Canada has helped a lot.
Helped a whole bunch. As much as he's not an offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach, I have a feeling like he is doing some new play calling with Fiechner that's not only helped Fiechner, but will help us for the future.
They said,
even the future without Ben to help mold those younger guys. I think he's great.
They said he's had a lot to do with the influence of the jet sweeps. And like the fake jet
RPO.
Sweeps. Right, and the RPO. Yep, I did see that too. It's been cool to have that. But whatever they're doing is working, so I won't knock on them until it stops working. But, I would say, B and B- for the offensive grades. Let's jump over to the defense, talk a little bit about them, because first half of the game, they looked dominant, like they did against the Browns. Like,
it looked like, because after the first quarter, when you looked and the Titans had 1 total yard, you were like, okay, there's no way they could end with 4 total yards. But, like, if the Steelers, like, because at that time, I even think at half it was, I don't remember exactly, but, like, under 50 or something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
And so it's sitting there like, man, if we keep this up going into the second half, even though they're probably going to be throwing it more, like, we could hold them under 200 total yards.
Right.
Which is just unheard of in today's NFL.
Yeah, and I was just like, in the back of my mind, I kind of like kept keeping an eye on like where Derrick Henry's at with yards, because I was like so badly not wanting him to break 100. I was like, even if we win, I don't want him to break 100. Like,
and I was literally, until the fourth quarter, he was under 50 yards rushing.
Oh, I know.
My bold prediction was almost right.
I know.
And he ended up with 75 rushing yards, but 72 total yards. Because he had 2 catches for -3 yards.
Jeez.
So, just off of running, James Conner had more than him, which that's an impressive feat.
Yeah.
And I mean, he eventually got running, which is kind of my concern. Was Derrick Henry? They always say starts out slow, and as the game goes, he's gonna wear you out. And it showed on that one drive when he finally ran it in.
When he scored,
man alive, he was just barreling through people and finally like kicking in. I was like, uh-oh.
I know.
And then him and Spillane almost took each other's heads off.
I was going to say, so that time where he ran it all the way down and they originally were like, is it a touchdown? Is it a touchdown? Is it a touchdown?
Yeah.
And they finally, got the ruling in, his knee hit down. And so he was at like the half-yard line or whatever it was. So it was 1st and goal at literally the half-yard line. And he goes for it. I think they ran it the first play.
Yeah.
Got stuffed. I can't remember. Was it 2nd down? Spillane came through? 2nd or 3rd? I don't remember. But
yeah. I want to say it was 3rd, because I want to say the play after that is when they did the play action and they called Mink on that crapshoot.
That was 4th.
Right, because I think Spillane hit him on 3rd to push him back.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe it was 2nd down.
Maybe
but either way, that was like literally within the same time frame that happened. But
and I don't care if Spillane doesn't do anything for the rest of the year. If he doesn't look good for the rest of the year, that one play was legit, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, we knew that he was a thumper, and the guy off the Pat McAfee show said he's slow AF, but he hits like a Mack truck, and boy, was it not 2 Mack trucks drilling each other right in the trenches.
That's what I'm saying. It's like not only was it a hard physical hit and a stop, like a thump right in his tracks, it was Derrick Henry he did it on. Like the biggest back in the league by far.
For sure.
So, man, for him to just, and he was the first one there. Like he had other, like Henry had, I think TJ come in for like a little bit of the assist there, but for the most part, it was all Spillane right in the hole and just coming like full speed.
Yeah. Spillane got hurt after.
I was going to say, injured his shoulder on the play, but dude.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to that, if you come out and you're still able to, I think he was able to still come into the game, I think Spillane was afterwards. It's like, man, if all you get is like a shoulder stinger that you're able to come back in afterwards from drilling Henry, I don't care if Henry wasn't injured or not that or feeling sore after it, but man, you for sure, like, Steeler fans were probably like, oh yeah, those are linebackers of old that we like to see.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was insane. So intense, such a great hit.
That was like a Lawrence Timmons hit.
That was a great play, man. And then like that 4th and goal and that questionable hold.
Super questionable.
On Minka.
He was picked. It should have been offsetting penalties. Like, I would have been way more okay with offsetting penalties, replay the down, than just saying, like, no, we're going to give him an auto first.
Yeah. Like, yes, he did hold on the play. You can clearly see that. But I don't think you saw initially what happened before the – well, not you, but everybody before the play. Because, you did see the pick. They kind of, like, did a wheel route or whatever it was, kind of, like, out to the flat and up. Yeah. It was like he had no other choice at that point.
Seriously, yeah.
So that was kind of a bummer because that was almost a huge stop for us. Mm-hmm. They ended up scoring on that play. But they kind of slowed down in the second half. But really, we've got to – I know we've talked about it. We've got to give credit to the Titans, though. Like, we did give up a big lead in the second half, third and fourth quarter. But the Titans are a good team still at that point.
Oh, like, they're a great team, and honestly, our defense gave it up. They gave up the one big play, which was a bummer. But at the same time, the Titans started doing turnovers. And when you started doing turnovers, your defense was on the field more, starting to wear down more. That's when Derrick Henry started to kick up. And so, we gave it up. But at the same time, when our offense went from giving them barely any time for our defense to be on the field to having them on the field what seemed like almost all the time on the second half, you're going to make some mistakes because you're just going to be so worn down.
For sure.
And you're throwing in guys like number 99. I don't know who he was.
Mondo or something
I don't
like
know.
that?
I was not impressed with that guy at all. He ticked me off so many times.
The only good play I saw was
when he was on offense playing as fullback.
Yes. Was it for Benny Snell's kick out? Yeah. He looked great on that play. Like, I'm fine if you want to throw him as fullback a couple of times since Derek Watt's out.
Big boy.
Right, yeah. But, he had that encroachment or neutral zone infraction. And it was like, dude, come on.
Yeah, but, I was not impressed with the guy at all. I was like, man, I don't know why the heck we put him in this game.
Yeah.
But
you know what I just got thinking about? Their punter fumbled. And it was a turnover on downs. Did they end up counting that as a turnover on downs? Or turnover for us, though?
No, not a turnover. It was crap.
What was because of the flag?
Well, that was the play that I missed. I had texted you and said that I'd missed that play due to some unforeseen circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
We won't get into it.
I wonder I wonder why they didn't rule it as a turnover, though. I can't remember.
Well, did they recover the ball? Did the punter grab the ball and get tackled behind the line of scrimmage?
No, he recovered it and threw it downfield.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. They counted that as an incomplete pass. So
but
just
it was
turnover on downs, not a turnover, though.
But turnover on downs should be a turnover.
You would think, but...
I don't know. I don't know why they didn't count it.
Not by the NFL standards.
I just got to thinking about that, but after you said about the turnovers. But anyways, yeah, you are right. Like, when you turn over the ball 3 times and leave the defense on the field for majority of the second half, like, yeah, you are going to give up some plays. And the big play to A.J. Brown was a killer. And that was early in the third, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when things started to change.
That's right. It was like momentum switch, boom.
Yeah, Minka made a bad jump or stop.
Took a bad angle or something, yeah.
On it, and then as soon as Brown, which I didn't realize how fast he was. Like, when he was gone, I was like, man, maybe Hayden. Oh, no. Nobody's catching him.
I don't know what they're feeding those boys at Ole Miss. But dear Lord, between him and Metcalf.
Yeah. Fast son of a guns. Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I don't even remember who was doing it. And honestly, at first, whenever Minka had fallen over, I didn't see who it was. I just seen the 3, and I was like, oh, man, Edmonds screwed us. That was my immediate thing was, man, Edmonds did it.
My boy Minka.
And I seen it was Minka, and I'm like, wow, he had to have played something wrong. And then when you seen the replay, he was like coming at the angle and almost like stopped.
Right.
And then like realized, oh, crap, and then tried to go for it.
I mentioned to you because if you watch the play, Vince looks like he's coming in because I don't know if it was play action or if it was just a quick slant.
I know they were like going against the run hard. Like they were stacking the box and saying, you're going to throw it on us.
Because Vince had like, he pulls in towards the line and then he like turns his head to run back to see like who's behind him because it must have been like he must have like faked the blitz or realized it wasn't a run and he dropped back in zone. He like drops back, just gets his head turned and he like puts his arms up to try to stop the pass. And it almost like, I don't know if because it was so close to his hands that Minka thought it was going to get tipped, and that's why he changed his angle or originally had his angle that way. I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But
and I mean, it could have been something like that because we know he's known for grabbing those balls off tips, and he may have just been anticipating
He might have been just trying to play the ball at that point.
You know, instead it turns into a bad play, but, you know, ultimately you get the win, so it's hard to...
Yeah.
Us as Steeler fans are still going to criticize people. I think that's just in our nature to us Yinzers being mad at things like that. But I mean, overall, I didn't have a whole lot to complain about.
No.
I thought we game planned well. And, I mean, even though, we gave up a lot of points in the second half, we allowed Tannehill to throw it for 220, but because of his sacks, it only counts as 210 because we sacked him. So as a team stat, he had 210 yards, and then as running total, it was 82 yards. So either 292 or, if you include the extra 10, 302. So, I mean, that's pretty good. We still haven't allowed a 300-yard passer.
Well, and that's what I was going to say was Tannehill was on a tear coming into this game. Like, everybody thought, like, he was going to torch us. He was going to be the one to finally expose our defense.
Yeah.
He was throwing for, like, probably over 300 each game, I would say, right?
Yeah, I think he had, like, 1,300 or 1,400 yards coming in, so that's almost 300 a game.
Yeah.
And I think the game before he had, like, 349 or 359 or something.
Yeah, he was putting up numbers, and so to hold him for 220 or whatever you said, 210?
Yeah, 220. His total stat, because of the sacks, will be 210.
Okay. But. Yeah, and then 73 come on one play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, really... Stats are kind of showing up a little bit generous for him because of that giant play, but
you minus that, he's at 147.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's Baker stats.
Yeah, seriously. Although, did you see Baker against the Bengals? I'm not sure if the Browns are just slightly better than the Bengals, or if the Bengals are a legit team that just can't win. But that's going a little further ahead. But when you spoke of Baker, that made me think about that.
Yeah, he looked better.
Yeah, he wasn't playing an elite defense though.
Right, true that. So I guess for the defense, all things considered, I know they allowed to come back for the majority of the game. They did look good though. We were pretty pleased with how they played.
Yeah, no, I was pleased with TJ. I was pleased with Spillane, Vince Williams, Stephon too. I mean, our front seven was good, and our DBs did good.
Yeah. They didn't allow, like, other than that big play, they didn't really allow too much.
No, they kind of let things stay forward. And everybody knows I'm critical on our DBs. But as well as the others played, I would say on the DBs, I was most impressed with Cam Sutton.
Oh, yeah. Cam showed up, man.
I think he led the team. Let me see here. In PDFs.
Well, plus
he had 2. And Terrell Edmonds had 2.
Yeah, Terrell looked good, too.
And then Joe Hayden and TJ Watt each had 1.
Oh, nice.
But honestly, Cam Sutton could have had a pick right off the bat. It glanced off of his hands. He was so mad at himself for that. But, man, I don't know. He was just – he may not be like Mike Hilton with blitzing, but boy, oh boy, is he way better in coverage
good coverage
than Hilton is. So.
Also, there was a couple plays where I can think of one in particular, though. He threw Titans threw it to like that first Ferkser guy.
Oh yeah,
and he came up and made a nice
tackle.
It was
hit.
like on third down.
Yeah, because they were making a joke
about the tight ends.
Yeah, and they were like, "He must not like tight ends because it's National Tight End Day."
That was it. That was the one I could think of because it was a heck of a. I mean, that's a big dude, and Cam Sutton's not a big dude. So for him to come up and wrap him up and hold him up till someone else could come up and like finish him off, like,
yeah,
dude, I'll take that.
Oh, absolutely.
Stop him before the sticks. That was great. Yeah, I agree. Cam Sutton looked good, but what would you give for an overall grade for the defense?
They still got 2 sacks against a really good offense that doesn't allow sacks. I mean, they had 6 coming into the game, so we were still able to get there with 2, and our front was just literally harassing Tannehill.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. And other than that big play, it was more just getting worn out and that. So I'm going to say a B+ for them. You know, they could have did some more, and some things went the Titans' way. It seems like, especially one drive in particular, whenever the tip pass happened and it fell right into Humphrey's hands, literally Minka's a step forward, he grabs that ball instead of Humphrey. Then later on in the drive, Vince Williams absolutely cracks Tannehill because Spillane turned him around, cracks him. If that lineman or whoever it was, or Ferkser or whoever grabbed it, wasn't thinking on his feet, Steelers grab that, they get a turnover. And so they miss some opportunities, but they still, I mean, when you hold a team to 300 yards and really you're only giving up points because your offense starts creating turnovers, you can't fault them all the time.
Right.
You can say, maybe you could have got a little more on this, or Cam Sutton could have grabbed that pick or something like that, but I still think just B+ and little room to work on, but
that's what I'm riding with too. I'm riding with B+. I think I would have given them like A or A- if we would have gotten a turnover. Because
I agree.
I think that was the big thing missing in the game because we gave up 3 turnovers and we didn't get one back for us. It's like
right, and that ended our streak too.
I know, you're right. Which
was a bummer because we go into the Ravens, who have the longest streak right now
for turnovers.
Yeah, not including playoffs. I want to say they're up to like 14 or 16 games or something like that with at least 1 turnover.
That's solid. So. But yeah, I think I would have probably put them in the A category. It's just it was almost like the turnovers was the one thing we were missing out of this game because you're right. Like they were harassing Tannehill all game. They were getting in the backfield, stopping Derrick Henry often. But in the second half, they looked a little bit weaker. And like I said, credit to the Titans. Kudos to them because they are a good team and they made adjustments. They came out in the second half with a better game plan against our defense. So kudos to them. But and a lot more pressure was put on our defense because of our offense.
Right, absolutely.
So, it's like kind of a hit and miss kind of thing. But I would say B+ is pretty fair because, I'll take that performance. And usually I would say that performance against any other team, too, because Titans are a good team. You make that performance against any other team, you're probably going to win almost every game.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
So
you're probably getting some turnovers.
Exactly, yeah. Yep.
Because Titans, you don't have to play that that big man running the football.
Right, you don't have to stack the box like they did. Agreed, for sure. The only other thing is special teams.
Well, I was just going to say, what do you grade our special teams?
I was going to say I wanted to talk about that because Boswell just looks like the Wizard of Boz.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything to jinx the guy, but, man, he is just literally, other than week 1, which he had a little bit of a hiccup on week 1, he has looked stout.
He's like Mr. Automatic anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see. He may not be able to boom it 70 yards like some of these kickers, but you know what? If we're 50 or in, it's almost literally automatic.
I think he can make like a 55.
Probably. I know they were debating on it whenever Ben heaved it up, and I was almost saying just to take it and go up and be at 20. It would have been 27 at that point. Yeah. 27-7 going into half.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, don't you think that's just as good as a shot as Ben heaving it up on that play? Right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boswell's looked great.
We talked about Jordan Berry.
Yeah.
He looked
good.
Surprisingly good.
He had an average of 50 yards.
Yeah.
And what was his long here?
We would take that every week.
So his long was 51. So he had a 49-yarder and a 51-yarder.
Okay.
Both of them were inside the 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's solid. If he can keep that up and he's not going to shank 120 yards, as soon as he shanks one, put the rookie in because I'm done with him again. Cause
that's the problem is like he's always battled with the inconsistencies.
Oh, yeah, horrible. Because the guy, they say in practice, like literally Jordan Berry has like boomed him like 70 to 80 yards.
And that's what Pat McAfee said too. Dude's got a huge leg.
Yeah.
Like,
and Pat McAfee has like coached about the drop and stuff, and he said Barry's dropping it too high, and that's where the inconsistency's coming in.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that Pat McAfee like showed things or threw up on Twitter or something like that, him practicing punting?
Oh, no.
Yeah, he said it was like from months ago, but he said he just wanted to stir the pot a little bit. Man, I would love it to have Pat McAfee play for us.
That would be something, wouldn't it? He's from Pittsburgh, too, isn't he?
I know, yeah, he is. He's so cocky, though.
Yeah, he's funny, though.
I love him. And so he did good. Ray McLeod, man. I was so sad he didn't make it. If he would have went around and not cut in, he was gone.
He did the Antonio Brown thing where he cut the wrong way. It's like, dude, everybody can clearly see it on television. Cut right.
Yeah, you had the blocker.
The blocker
was
set
going to take out either the punter, or if you got past the punter, he was taking out the quicker guy.
Right.
I was like, no, because I was just sitting there screaming. I was like, go Ray Ray, go Ray Ray, go Ray Ray.
Oh, man, and to initially set that up, though, his two jukes were nasty.
He looked like Devin Hester.
Oh, my goodness. What a
Devin
find.
Hester, or who was that other guy that played for the Chiefs that used to have those sick jukes on returns?
Dante Hall?
Dante Hall. Man. As soon as he did that, I was like, man, those two guys came to mind when he was so shifty.
What a find, though, to find McLeod. Like,
yeah, and people were saying he had fumble issues, which is why he couldn't do anything. And it's like, I don't care. Right. If he's not fumbling on special teams, even when he's played on offense, he's played well.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, listen, I don't care.
Well, and I think, too, from last week to this week, keeping him on punt return duties is a must. Like, don't risk Deontay getting injured like he did against the Eagles or whatever that was. Like, just keep Ray out there. He can be just as explosive. He proved it in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep him out there. Keep him doing his thing because, like, if you lose Ray, like, yeah, that would suck, but not as much as losing Deontay.
Oh, no, for sure. And then, like, if you trust it enough, you can put Deontay back there again. And Deontay's shown that he can return punts. And then when it comes to the kickoff returns, I wouldn't put Deontay Johnson back on both of them, but I would throw, like, maybe, if McLeod's gone for a while, like, put in Deion Kane or McFarland or something like that. Yep. Just to, somebody who's kind of low expenditure at that point. And another thing, our coverage team on special teams.
Oh, yeah.
When we did those two, like, squibs in the one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, man,
the kickoff to, like, the corner, and he fumbled it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was spectacular.
That was great. Like, our coverage team was right there, made sure not to let him miss, and then we did it again, and I think he got to, like, the 26 or something, but it was still, like, we were right there, and Boswell was putting it on point.
He was.
And I was like, man, that was just our special teams. I'm giving an A+2.
I would give, me too. I mean, because where can you say, like, who screwed up? I mean, I can't think of a time. I mean,
talking about the Titans, that's a whole different story.
Right. yeah.
Low punt snap. Stephen Gostkowski missed.
We owe Gostkowski a little present. Send him a gift in the mail.
Send him a deflated football.
Yeah. But I would agree. I'd give him an A+ too because, I mean, they didn't do anything wrong.
No,
they looked good in all facets.
No, they helped us secure it for sure.
Did. Yep, absolutely, man. And that was a big game. I'm happy that we're 6-0. I'm happy that we're undefeated. That was a huge game for us, man. And this next one's going to be an even bigger game against the Ravens.
Yeah, coming off a bye.
Coming off an extra week to prepare because thanks to the Titans.
Yeah. Not going to get into that again.
Hey, but we end up taking care of one of them. So, like I said, this next one will be an even bigger test for us, I think, being a division game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that I'm super excited about being 6-0. And it's, I mean, it's just something that you don't, as a Steelers fan, it's not something that we've got to relish in a whole lot.
Right, yeah.
Probably not since 2004.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, and Tom Brady not being in our division this year, it's made it a lot better. And, I know we're kind of foreshadowing into what our preview and that is going to be, but I don't know. I'm super excited. I'm nervous, but excited at the same time. Just because I still don't know if we've hit our ceiling.
Right. No, you're right. I agree. I think the Ravens games are always kind of like, you're nervous, but you're super excited. You're just excited.
It's always a close,
it's always a good
hard-nosed game.
Right.
And I know they just added that extra pass rusher and
Ngakwe or whatever.
Ngakwe, however you pronounce it. So it'll make it interesting.
Yep.
So see if it's a defensive game or an offensive game.
Yep, I'm excited for that one, man. So, you have anything else to add for this?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Well, for those of you, thanks for watching or listening. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We definitely appreciate the support. And for those of you listening, maybe on a podcast platform, thanks for listening in. We appreciate there too. So we'll be back this week to preview the Ravens game. I'm really excited to do that. So
yes.
We'll be back with all our efforts there. And I guess until then, go Steelers.
Go Steelers.